With every single game, there's at least a few concept ideas that just never make it into the actual game, and while this is no different for the Plants vs. Zombies franchise, as well there's actually a lot of concept plants. And while I'm going to be looking through every single one of these concept plants from two separate games, being Plants vs. Zombies 2 and Plants vs. Zombies 2 China. And while starting with PvZ2 China, we have the Daffodil, which was originally supposed to be a plant within the Kung Fu world. And while within the actual game's files, there's actually no unique abilities to this plant, as well they literally just stole the Cabbage Pulse abilities and just put it onto this plant. So it seems with this plant, they never even created unique abilities for it, though in some of this concept art, you could sort of see some different abilities that this plant has. As well, in some concept art, you could see it grow over time from being completely into the ground to somewhat in the ground to being fully out of the ground. But yeah, besides this one piece of concept art, we have no idea what this plant actually looked like or what it actually did. And well, next we have the Brazil Nut Cannon, which seems to have multiple different abilities based on the concept art, as well it seems that this plant could turn sideways to hit zombies sort of like a pea shooter, but it could also shoot them in the air like a lobber plant. And while it's pretty clear this plant was meant to be within the Lost City world, and its two main uses are used to defeat those zombies, so it sort of makes sense that it was probably going to be a premium plant within the Lost City world. And well, next we have the Brazil Nut Fortress, which actually seems to be a bit more useful than the last plant, as well once again it seems to be a lobber plant, but it can actually do something pretty interesting. As it seems that this plant could actually kill zombies that fly through the air like the Relic Hunter zombie or the Swashbuckler zombie instantly. As well, when these zombies are swinging in the air, it seems that the Brazil Nut Fortress will actually purposely catch these zombies to instantly kill them. Which is actually a pretty interesting unique ability that no other plant in the game has, so it seems to actually be a unique ability. And well, besides that, it's described as a lobber plant, but it also seems to be sort of a melee plant, as you can tell by this concept art, by the things on top of it attacking the zombie. So yeah, it seems that this plant could be a lobber plant, a melee plant, and also be able to catch zombies flying through the air, meaning that it's actually a really unique plant, which would sort of be good if it was added into the game. And while another plant that was supposed to be in the Lost City world, we have the Sumo Cashew, which had a few different abilities once again. Its main ability being that it could actually reflect the turquoise skull zombie's laser back at it, which would instantly kill the zombie. Which would actually be a really useful ability, because within the Lost City world, that's one of the most annoying zombies, and it would be really nice to have a plant that could counter that. And while it also sort of acted as a squash with multiple uses, as you can tell by the concept art down here, where it could easily squish a zombie and instantly kill it. And while it doesn't seem to disappear after that either, meaning that it's a multi-use squash, and after an excavator zombie picks it up, it'll instantly be crushed as well. So yeah, this plant would actually be able to counter two of the most annoying zombies in the world, making it actually really useful. And well, we also have the giant pitcher plant, which was actually a very early version of the Dino grass, which was actually added into the game. And while most of the abilities that this concept plant had ended up being put into the Dino grass, so there's actually a few unique ones as well. As once again, it would target zombies that swing onto the lawn like Relic Hunter zombies or Swashbuckler zombies, as it would perfectly target those zombies to make it land in its mouth so it could instantly kill them. And while it would also shoot some sort of fluid at the zombies, also other different projectiles, which we don't know what they do, but they're most likely poisonous, just like the Dino grass. Though they could also be used to stun the zombies, so there's actually no way of telling what this plant could actually do. And well, next we actually have a set of 3 different plants, which are all sort of in the same family, being the cocoa plants. And well, the first one is the cocoa pole, which would lob pieces of chocolate at the zombies, and it would be able to stung the zombies, very similar to how the kernel pulse butter would. Though unlike the butter, the zombies wouldn't be able to get unstuck until it was done eating the chocolate. So it was sort of a combination of the kernel pole and the gum nut, even though the gum nut wasn't even added to the game yet, it sort of seems to be a combo of those two. So yeah, it seems what the cocoa pole was basically just a buff version of the kernel pole. And well, next we have the Cocoa Shaman, which was able to buff all the surrounding plants using cocoa beans, though we don't really know the radius. As well, in the concept art, the radius which these plants are buffed in is not specifically stated, so we don't actually know, though it's most likely a 3x3 radius, as well the majority of plants in the game that buff the zombies do it in a 3x3 radius. So the most likely thing that this plant did is just buff them in a 3x3 radius, but there's no way of actually knowing. And well, next we have the cocoa shooter, which would rapid fire cocoa beans at the zombies, coating them in chocolate, most likely slowing them down. But once again, it's not specifically stated, so we don't actually know if they slow them down or not, or any ability that it has in general. So yeah, only one of these plants, being the cocoa pole, actually have a full description of what this plant does, but the rest of them we really have no idea. Now next up we have the Dicentra. Well, the Dicentra was a plant that was supposed to be added during the Chinese Lunar New Year event, but it was eventually scrapped. And well, it seems that this plant actually functioned on coins, and every time that you put a coin into it, it would end up leveling up. As well, as you can tell by this art, it starts off with no lump on its head, but after the first time you put a coin in it and it shoots off, it ends up having a small lump on its head. And well, after the second gold coin, it gets a slightly bigger lump, and after the third gold coin, it ends up growing a second head. And while I'm not sure if it's able to level up after it has a second head, as well, this is the only concept art that we have, so we have no idea what happens after this plant. And while it's currently unknown how many coins it would actually cost to use this plant, as well, it was never specified. So yeah, all this plant is basically just a magnifying glass, but instead of costing sun, it actually costs coins. Now next up we have the Taro Monk, and well, this plant actually has two separate abilities, as well as first main ability is hitting the zombies by a melee plant. And well, this plant will continuously hit the zombies until its arms end up falling off after it deals a certain amount of damage to the zombies, and it will go into the ground, then explode once a zombie gets too close to it. Meaning that it's a combination of a potato mine and any other melee plant. Which is actually a pretty unique combination. Well, I think it would actually be a pretty good plant, though sadly it was scrapped. Now next we have the Iris, and well, the Iris actually got scrapped, not for being a bad plant or anything, but its main gimmick actually got removed. As well, the entire gimmick of this plant was being able to remove paint from the lawn, though the paint was actually removed from the game entirely, meaning that this plant sort of went with it. As well, originally in the Renaissance Age world, there was supposed to be paint on the lawn put down by the zombies, and this plant was supposed to clear them off. Though PopCap ended up just not adding this paint gimmick into the game, and it ended up getting rid of this plant as well, the plant was now completely useless. Now next up we have the Magnolia, and while we don't actually know this plant's name at all, and it's literally just named after the plant, as well there's literally no information about what this plant does or what its name even was. As well, literally, this is the only concept art of the plant that we have, and there's no other information about it, so the people on the wiki just named it after what the plant actually was. And well, moving on to the international version of Plants vs. Zombies 2, starting off with the beet. And well, the only reason why beet wasn't added into the game is, well, it got replaced by Bong Choy, and well, that's literally it. The beet had all the exact same abilities as the Bong Choy, so for whatever reason, they just completely scrapped this plant and replaced it with the Bong Choy, and I don't really know why. And while they actually scrapped this plant really late into the development, as well, literally this plant was fully complete when it got scrapped. And while we also have the Tactical Cuke, which literally does the exact same thing in the Chinese version of Plants vs. Zombies 2, though it was just a concept for the international version of the game. Though I guess they realized that it was a bit too overpowered to just be an individual plant, as well there's even a seed packet of this plant, though they realized that it was just way too overpowered to add into the game. And well, we also have the Icy Current, which is literally just the exact same thing as the Chinese version of the game, though for whatever reason it was never added into the international release. Which is really strange because the entire plant was found within the game's files, they just never added it. And well, speaking of plants that were fully inside of the game but never got added, we have the Scaredy Shroom. As well, as you know, there's a new version of Scaredy Shroom that was added a few years ago, though this one was actually supposed to be added right at the beginning of the game. Which would have made a lot more sense for Scaredy Shroom to be added right at the beginning of the game, instead of being added a decade after the game first came out, though for whatever reason they completely scrapped it, then added it into the game years later. But yeah, those were all the concept plants. Comment down below which of these concept plants is your favorite, and comment which one you would want in an actual game. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please like and subscribe, and have a great day.